I usually just try to like ease into the chats and then find like a good spot for us to flow. Why don't we start with something like really basic? How did you guys even meet?
Oh man, so this is a good story. So I managed an artist called Emoji. It's an EDM duo, and I was having a little fun on the side. And Josh actually operates a college or just a booking agency and artist management leg called Incubate Talent Group, and they were signed to Incubate Talent Group, and I met him through that, and we kind of hit it off.
Yeah, I mean, that pretty much covers the gist. We were working in the
Yeah,
EDM scene together, and just kind of like after working together for a long time, things just naturally started turning into like
yeah,
late night entrepreneur conversations, and then it just started turning into business. We were just like, dude, why are we not working together? And then
I know.
it's really where it all started.
I love that.
Yeah,
So Seed Fund's the company. You guys both have like pretty storied backgrounds, and we'll get into them a little bit
yeah,
more. Uh, so going off of this random meet cute, so to speak, like rising tides philosophy, that's very specific, and I think it's actually very of the times, right? There's a lot of talk that I've seen and some of the people that I follow that we're going into a new era, that the old guard is dying, the
Mhm.
top-down control, people are sick of it and it's going to go away. Not without a fight, but that we're going to go into an era that's more by the people, for the people, groundswell, ground up. So how is it possible that you two met and you had this, rising tides philosophy?
So I'll kind of go into like a little bit. So I had built Seatfun as a tool for like me and my friends to use, right? There was a few promoters I worked with. It was originally called Mastrotics because I couldn't figure out a name for it. And I was like, oh, if we end up doing anything with this, like we'll get a good brand for it and everything and do a whole rebrand refresh and all that. And it was kind of like that tool was there and I was building on it. I was like, oh, I'm working with my friends and, helping them like on the marketing side for their events too. And just really more like a partner. And then, I told Josh that, about, I've seen it kind of trend up where I was getting more and more promoters. People were now talking to people. And then Josh came on and me and Josh talked and he was like, this has a lot of potential. And he's like, kind of what you're doing is what I've envisioned for this too, a little bit was building relationships with organizers, like actually being a partner, not just being like a software platform. I think in the day of AI and everything that's happening right now, the way technology is moving is we get to a point where we're now starting to see companies replace humans with artificial intelligence. An example of this is blocks. I don't know if you follow Jack Dorsey, Square, Cash App, and all that. They laid off, I believe it was, and don't quote me on this, I want to say it was like 40% of their staff, and their stock went up the next day. And what that's saying now is the market looks at humans almost as a liability. And I
Yeah.
don't believe in that. I think the only way we can build a really good ticketing company is to have really good relationships and actually help venues out. And I mean, if we wanted to just scale something, use artificial intelligence and try to exit, it wouldn't be ticketing because that's not the kind of, space to we want to build relationships, see venues grow. Josh has a ton of experience with the whole COVID era, watching venues sink and then these ticketing platforms were fine. And just kind of goes to, he always says, it kind of goes to show how greedy the industry was. And we're really working with helping venues like scale operations versus like, hey, we're a ticketing platform. You sign up, you log in, you use our software. If you have a problem, good luck. We're very much like, you got a problem. Here's my number. Here's Josh's number. Call
Yeah.
us at 4 a.m. I'll probably be up with my newborn anyways. So give me a call. Let's get through it together. But it's been cool to take that approach with ticketing because we see software companies pop up and we see them, especially in the ticketing. You'll see a ticketing company pop up because they're a couple developers and they know how to build software. And they pop up and they disappear within 6 months because they're like, oh shit, people weren't just going to sign up and use my platform. Where our edge, I really feel like in the market is we're actually partnering with venues, helping them out marketing, building features that are very specific to what they need just for them, not for the whole platform, and taking the approach of ticketing, but software and tying it into almost like an operating system completely for that specific venue has been very, very beneficial. And it's allowed us to see some really cool growth in the last like 6 to 8 months. And, you know, we've been profitable since day one. You know, we just did a big funding round, and it's allowed us to like really double down and go all in on this project. So
Yeah, it's funny how we naturally ended up becoming the next generation of ticketing, and the irony of all of that is you would think that being human centric and people first would be like wanting to actually help partners. Like the reason we're invite only is so we can have this level of connection with all of our clients and really help them scale. It's not just like a licensing software dealing with some of our
yeah,
competition, for example. I won't mention names. But it's funny how we naturally got kind of labeled the next generation of ticketing, because we really believe that the future of ticketing is not software. We believe it's service. And there's a lot of things that we do that are public and not public about the way we structure our system and our partnerships. And if we were not invite only, we would not be able to provide that level of service to an open marketplace. And so
yeah,
it's very much built by organizers for organizers, and I don't see that in any other company out there. Most of them are developed by developers for bankers. You know what I mean? And so it's
Yeah.
especially the guys getting in that big lawsuit right now. And so that's that's really where the rising tides philosophy comes from, because if they don't win, we don't win. And when we
Uh,
saw that happen with COVID, that was when we were like, okay, well, if we're going to do this, we can't just play Ticketmaster's game, for example.
yeah,
We need to do our thing and provide our value and help human beings, because without the human beings, there is nothing. It's all just an idea. And so,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it pretty much covers the gist of it.
Yeah, I love that, and I agree with so many of the things you guys said. You know, we talked before we hit record about love and logic, which are, the fundamental principles that I live by. And there's this crazy concept called conscious business, where you can have a for-profit model, and you can make lots of money, but not screw the people that you're working with.
yep,
Maybe it's
yeah,
staying
What a
private, not.
weird idea.
I don't know.
yeah. Who would have thought? You know?
I also think that technology is important. Technology is a huge disruptor, and that competition breeds innovation, right? So if you have a huge company like Live Nation or Ticketmaster that's, cornering the entire market, then they can do whatever they want. You're not going to have um, innovation. You're going to have stagnation because no one's feeling pushed or pressured into
Yeah,
doing things. Disruptors will come with both good and bad, but overall, I think tech on its own is very positive, and AI is the same thing. There are negative implications for sure, but I mean, as an entrepreneur and as a startup, I'm able to get more out of my team and
yeah,
use my money more wisely because I have, these built-in robotic assistants that can do deep dive stuff that I don't necessarily have the bandwidth to do or want to burn cash on. So it's about finding that balance.
yeah. I
This,
talked to
this
Josh about this. Like we're building a couple AI models right now on some of the different models we're doing for if it's finance things, if it's something to do just with like little things in the platform and just maybe bug fixes and things like that. We're using it, right? I'm not saying that. What my thing is like we'll never use it to automate a relationship, and we'll never use it for customer support and the things where it's human to human. Artificial intelligence can help us scale the technology and all that, but it can't scale the relationship. And that's really, really like I mean, me and Josh sit down and talk about this. We're like, no matter what, let's not make it. So let's not become that help center where you hit a chatbot and then it says someone's random name, but it's actually just an AI model just talking to you, that's what we're trying not to do. But everything else, oh yeah, we enable AI across the board right now.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
what's
it's really
funny is
helping us. Yeah.
go
Oh,
ahead, go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just saying it's really helping us scale, and we're using it strategically, but
Yeah.
it's not being, like Dan said, it's not being leaned on to replace anybody. It's actually being leaned on to increase our ability to be scaled in this type of communication with all of
Yeah.
our clients. And yeah, I mean, we're big fans, but
Yeah.
like anything, it's too much of one thing can be harmful. And I think that's what we're starting to experience across the globe. But at the end of
Yeah.
the day, I mean, I find myself talking to organizers about this all the time, or business folks, or, my mentors, or anybody, business coach, whatever. There's really like three big pillars to any sort of human centric business, right? I mean, there's obviously money, then technology, but then there's relationships. And if you're missing one of those three, it's not going to scale. It's not possible.
Yeah.
And so it's not like anybody with money can just like get into this industry and do this. The relationships are crucial. They're absolute complete deal breaker. You know what I mean? And so that's the most important thing for us. And then as we continue to scale the software and grow it and build, and we have, ever since we got funded, I mean, we have quarterly updates happening. There's so much coming down the pipeline that we're really excited about. And it's just going, improving the software is just, it's just gonna be a normal thing. You know what I mean? Like our
Yeah.
Yeah.
software is already crushing. We're so excited
Well,
about it, and now it's gonna
and
be even
I
bigger.
talked to
And so,
Josh about this. Like, we're
yeah,
not in like a space that's like project management, right? Like ClickUp, for example. I love ClickUp. I don't know if you're familiar with the software
No.
ClickUp. The CEO, Zeb Evans, it's crazy this how they've scaled things. I'm a huge fan of them, but it's been like ship, 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 feature, 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 feature. If there's a bug, we'll fix it as we're shipping new stuff. Let's just keep on going. And I think they're worth, I want to say like 4 or 5 billion now. It could be more. But I talked to Josh about that. And one thing in ticketing, there really isn't that much innovation happening at all. There's been the same, like if you look at some of these legacy platforms, and I want to say names, but they look like they're PayPal in 2009. Like it's very like, do I want to put my card on here? Is this, and it's just, there's not a lot of innovation happening. So not only is there relationships aren't getting served, right? People aren't getting served, but also the technology is like, I feel like 5 years behind a lot of other industries.
Mhm.
So when we're coming in, we're moving fast, we're adding new features, like, and we're just kind of like, with the pace we're going at, we're trying to kind of have the ClickUp style where we're adding new features. We're constantly adding new features. We're shipping new things that help organizers sell more tickets, help them market, help them get better reporting and more data analysis, things like that.
But you're factoring in balance, and I think that that's, like,
Yeah.
an important thing that not only comes up with tech and entrepreneurship, but artistry as well, but just with living in general,
Yeah.
and I'm by no means affiliated with Riverside, I just use their tool.
Yeah.
We talk about support and the balance of AI and human. They do such an incredible job with their support where instantly on their website everywhere you can talk to AI, you can get, the different tools, the not blog posts, but, the different articles you can look up to
Yeah.
troubleshoot things, but as soon as you're stuck, as soon as you want help, you can be like human and they connect you like this, and if the human can't help you, they're like, "No problem, I'm gonna start a ticket, we'll email you later." That's that good balance that people
Yep.
need,
Yeah.
and so it sounds like you guys are factoring into that into your growth, but let me take a quick philosophical step back. So there's rising tide. It's not necessarily that everyone needs to be the same and fair because I do believe in merit, right? Like those that work hard for what they get or achieve for because of the working hard deserve the reward, so to speak. Is that something that you guys always had built into your mindset? Is that something you were taught, that you grew up with? Did it happen, Daniel, when you became a dad? Like, tell me a bit about your ethics and where that morality was birthed.
Yeah, I guess I'll go into the idea of like the rising tides thing is massive. I mean, I see what we're doing. It's allowed us to scale just being like, especially in this industry. Don't get me wrong. There's other industries where there's not a lot of communication, there's not a lot of relationships, and that's just normal. But in this industry, we were both organizers. Like I wish we threw a festival at the Kentucky Speedway, and we had issues with our ticketing. And I don't want to say the name of the company, and we couldn't reach anyone. And people are trying to check in at a speedway, and it was camping. And it's moments like that that were like, wow, as little something little as like a relationship could have moved the needle for me so much to be like, this is, oh, I'm gonna write a review, I'm gonna go publicly and be like, these guys are awesome. I think that's big for me, as far as that goes, just on the relationship side.
What about you, Josh?
yeah, and I can add to that for sure. I mean, I know both Dan and I, in all of our business ventures, especially I'll speak for myself, coming from being an artist, that philosophy has been in any business that I have done back when things were not working out well to when they started working out well. And so that's one fundamental like philosophy that never changed. And you'll find that in all of the things that we're doing together now, both within and outside of Seed Fund. Because we really believe, again, as technology continues to advance, the relationships and the services and the connection, that's going to be the X factor. And so,
I think there's
you know,
another thing too with me and Josh. We both share this like weird motivation, right? Where, and I talk about Will Smith. I'm a big Will Smith quote guy. I don't know. I just love Will Smith. I was listening to a podcast from recently, and he said, if you put me and my competitor on a treadmill, I am either going to die or you're going to get off the treadmill first. And I think me and Josh very much have that mindset. We're putting in like 16, 18-hour days right now. We believe in this mission so much, and we're seeing the reaction from organizations, from venues is like so rewarding in the sense where they're like, Josh, what was someone said something recently to you. It was about uh we make money together. It's not you making money out. What was that? It's things
Yeah.
like this that just like fire me up every single morning.
So we are meeting with organizers daily, right? Some very big ones, some smaller ones. It just depends on their needs. Everything's kind of individually different. Everyone's needs are different, right? But I had a really cool thing happen the other day, sitting down with a an organizer, and it was a venue, and they've met with everyone, all the majors, and they've had bids and quotes and whatever, the whole normal game, right? And they said that after meeting with us, we were the first people to sit down and show what we do, and not sit here and tell them how we are going to make money off of their tickets. We were sitting down being like, this is how we are going to be successful together, and how we are going to provide a more equitable structuring together, so that we are winning together as your partner,
Yeah.
as literally like you own the software. Basically, that's how we want it to feel. And they stopped me in the meeting, and they were like, we met with everyone. You're the first company that's ever framed it this way. It's always the same thing with everybody else. It's always this, this is
Oh,
how
here's a
we
signing
commission.
bonus. Here's
Yeah,
this. Yeah. Well,
we'll
you know,
commission
reach out to
this. Yeah.
someone's. Yeah. And it's crazy because it's like, it's something like that. That's like, whoa, relationships were the blue ocean the whole time. You're telling me the blue ocean to ticketing was just being a good person and building relationships with these venues. And it's like a light bulb has been going off the last like month or so with us. We're like, this is crazy. We're talking to really big venues and they're like, oh, it's crazy to get you guys on a phone call, and you guys aren't starting off with like this and that. I'm just like, this is insane. Like, what is going on here? So,
It's like that old guard comment you made a moment ago. There's very much a shift in the collective consciousness around the old guard right now. And
yeah.
um, I believe that um, we are doing our thing at the right time, and in addition to everything else. And it's really exciting. As organizers ourselves, we're giving these partners what we would desire. And every one of them needs something different. And we have that level of flexibility to provide that type of service. And so, again, I keep being a broken record about the invite only thing, but it's super important, because if we were a
Yeah.
marketplace, this wouldn't be, wouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's really kind of where that all stems from.
That's awesome. I mean, Josh,
My
you got a
mom, my
huge
mom drilled it into me too, by the way. Being raised by a Canadian really drilled in a lot of kindness and a lot of thinking about others too. So
be nice. I mean, be good for goodness sake is how I was raised, right? Like, why should I be good? Because it's good to be good. End of story. Don't discuss it. Be
Yeah.
good.
'cause it
Um,
feels good. It feels good
yeah,
to be good. I
well,
think.
you're a musician. You come from a huge background of like musical training, musical schooling. Do you consider yourself a musician first and foremost before like a tech entrepreneur?
Um, I consider myself human first and foremost, but yeah, if I'm going to identify as something, I'll always be an artist. That's it's false. I can't. I would be unfair to my soul if I wasn't that way. But as such, I feel like I really relate to these organizers in a way that, because I've been in their shoes, both on the business side as well as on the artist side, and so, you know. Yeah, I would definitely say that's a huge part of my identity.
Amazing. I mean, I totally agree. It's funny because when I first started doing V13 promotions, which is evolved into V13 music, V13 promo still exists and it's kind of like more of an incubator for all of the business related stuff we do, marketing, advertising, web development. Um, but we were trying to focus in on artists. And then we got some like corporate work, redoing some sales funnels, some websites, some marketing, some branding. And we realized working with a painter, writers, journalists, musicians, photographers, and entrepreneurs that they're all the same. They're all under the bucket of creative. And it just comes down to balancing the artistry with the business. Like, how do you
Mhm.
make the music, and then how do you sell the music, and how do you join them with balance to do something that's authentic and that gives the product the best possible chance of success,
Yeah.
right? Without
That's
forcing.
the That's the golden word right there. That's the key to success. In
Which
my
one?
opinion, authenticity. That's the key. And
Yeah.
does it resonate with people? That's up to the people. But if it's authentic, that's the X factor. That's where I think a lot of the mainstream is suffering, especially with what's happening with AI and releasing music on Spotify and the depreciation of recorded music that's happening.
Well, you
A
see
lot of
what
people are
gets
trying to
rewarded
sound like other
too.
things. Yeah.
Well, and like,
Oh,
what
for
is the
sure.
algorithm
For sure.
reward? And it's like you got these bands who are so talented that the music like would it's just undiscovered, right? But the thing is management's like, all right, go do this TikTok, and it's like this band like that changes the whole brand and everything they want to do, and then they're doing things they don't want to do because it pushes an algorithm and rewards, like the
Super,
music. It just sucks. It's
super
built
true.
like that.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm still a manager and I manage two artists still, and you know, um, it's very very much that. So I mean, it
yeah,
can be it's genre dependent too, right? But like the genres that make the most money, you know, and I do think the majors just are winging it too. I don't think anyone truly knows what they're doing anymore. I think they're just doing the best they can at what they think is working, and that's why so many of them are like, oh, TikTok's trending, do more of that.
hmm
You know what I mean? Because they're
yeah,
just trying to everyone's winging it, man, on this space rock at the end of the day, right?
yeah,
I know I am. So
Well, I think that's actually a really interesting point, and you made me kind of coin something. When you get to a certain level, and maybe you're playing within a system, maybe it's the old guard, maybe there's a lot of BS that's happening. You're at a point where you're winging or swinging. You're either going by the seat of your pants, or you're pushing something, you're pushing an agenda. You're not doing things authentically, like you said, Josh. Daniel, let me ask you a question because you
mm,
brought up something that I haven't talked about a lot on this podcast that I want to do more of, which is the grind. Okay. So
yeah,
I'm 45. I
mm,
have kids and stepkids. They're in this house half-time and half-time. So we have the kids, I think every 2 weeks we have them 11 days. So there's like,
hmm
3 days in 2 weeks that we are free.
hmm
I'm usually working 24/7 all of those days. I try to take obviously time off or big chunks of time off in the evenings when they're home or on weekends to be present, to be a good father. But,
yeah,
like, I'll easily do 10 to 14-hour days,
yeah,
and I'm feeling burnt out sometimes, and I'm feeling exhausted. But you just said 18-hour days and you have a newborn. Like,
yeah,
talk
yeah.
to me about your sanity.
Yeah, so and I say this like this is I love this, right? I talk to my wife about this before we even started talking about having a baby. Like I love work. I am obsessed with work, and it's not the destination. I'm obsessed with. I love the journey. The day to day. I love putting out fires at 2 a.m. because something happened here. I love it. I love going to war every single day, um, and that's what I enjoy. But also I wouldn't be able to do that without my wife. My wife holds it down. Like her mom nannies for us full time now. And she holds it down. I mean, she knows, our goals as a family and all that. And she sees kind of like what I'm doing. I have my role and she has hers, and she holds it down like all around, like very much. And Josh knows this. Brianna she's a champ, right? So, I think it's also setting expectations and just understanding like what you guys both want. And I mean, she knows. I mean, she's known me for 8 years now. This is all I've done was build since since she's met me. So she gets it. It's not like it was different, and then all of a sudden I just dipped into this kind of lifestyle. So
Yeah. The support and, the family life and the considerations around that are super important, and I'll come back to it. But, like, you personally, ho how do you balance it all? How do you balance the sleep deprivation, the it's very easy to stay motivated. I'm like you.
yeah,
I love grinding. I wake up every day and I feel so blessed to do this that there's nothing else that I want to do. So that itself is inspiration to keep going. But there's still all the fatigue and other stuff that sets in. Do you have any special tricks? Do you stand all day long? Do you meditate? Like, what's Daniel
no,
doing?
my life is integrated. Like everything is integrated into my life. There's no like separation between work and life. Everything in my life is built around work, and it's almost a degree or two away a little bit. There's not, I don't really, I don't know. I don't really think about it like that. I know what I want. I love doing what I do. So it's almost like I mean, it's a dream to be able to sit here and even be able to do what we're doing in the ticking industry, because I love music, and I love live events. And it's exciting to go to war. I call it war, but go to work every day, right?
Yeah.
And just do this. But I mean, there's definitely, don't get me wrong, I'm not working like that type of schedule like on the weekends. I mean, I sleep a lot on the weekends. I got to catch up on some sleep. And with the newborn, we're doing a bunch of, he just rolled actually um last night. So like 1 a.m, I was like, what's going on? And I came down and he had rolled. I was like, whoa, this is
That's
crazy.
cool.
Yeah.
I think you just accidentally coined a new term. The three of us will take it away. We'll have like three-part ownership. Work. So not work. From now on, it's work.
Work. There it is.
I like it.
So you love what you do. You're motivated. You're passionate.
Mhm.
Give me an example of one or two things that you've done, Daniel, to integrate your life into the work to make it easier. Like, what are some of the habits or pro tools that you swear by that you have to use? For me, it's Riverside.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big ClickUp user. My life is on ClickUp. I'm really big on my project. I use a project management software for everything. Like every little project me and Josh are working on, everything with our development team, everything. My home chores. Like I have a project coming. We're about to open up an office here in Cincinnati. I'm building up a ClickUp list for it, and I'm just going through. I think staying organized is very important to me. But then also too, I really believe in finding a partner that just gets it. That's massive. Like so we being able to have those conversations, and there's not like resentment around like work is really big. And I think that's like, at least for me, I'm 30, we have a newborn, you were recently married, like we are on the same page, and that makes everything in life so much easier.
Huge X factor. I've
Because I
experienced
don't
the
feel guilty,
opposite.
right? Like she's like she champions it, which is awesome. So
What about you, Josh? Give me something on your end.
Well, I very much share the obsession that Dan shares, and there's obviously pros and cons to that. But at the end of the day, I think it's the biggest blessing and the biggest gift to be obsessed about, what you love. Like I can sit here and burn the candle at both ends all day long if it's about our business and our baby and our passion, and it's actually making a difference. I'm not, just doing some sort of basic sales. I find that. Even the selling process for us is more so informing than it is even a sale.
yeah.
But for me, I got to give a lot of credit to my ex-wife, actually. She really helped me see my capabilities that I wasn't able to see as we had our journey together. And within that journey that we had together, I started to really find my self value and self love. And I really started to embody, if I can't love myself, if I can't find the value within myself, how can I ever give that out to the world and give it to anybody else? And that was a really deep journey that we were on together for a long time. I'm very grateful to her for that, even through all the ups and downs that resulted in us not in our divorce. But in terms of the day to day and the obsession, being on all the time, it doesn't matter the time zone. I'm constantly mixing time zones up, which is something I'm working on fixing
Yeah. But
within my relationship
he
with my
still
calendar.
shows up for the meetings though,
Yeah,
It's like, what's
I won't miss him. I won't miss it. But meditation has been very helpful. Like self help books and all that kind of stuff. Super super helpful. Um, a lot of tools I've learned, mentors, coaching. I worked with various coaches on different things, from business to spirituality to all sorts of stuff. There's always more to learn. And it's one of my biggest core desires as a human is to feel inspired and inspire as well. And a lot of that stems from that type of practice. And so very, very grateful for the journey that Kayla and I had together for a lot of those reasons. You know,
I
she
also
really
I
helped
do
me
want
help
to say
me. If that
too.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to say too, when I say 18 hours, it's not like I'm sitting in front of my computer. I'll schedule like meetings for when I'm at the gym. I'll go on walks with my dog and be on the phone, but I'm just always in a work mode. I don't want it to be,
Yeah.
I'm not just sitting here in a dark room, just beating the keyboard for 18 hours,
Yeah.
So,
Sometimes though, sometimes.
yeah, there's
But
definitely, when we're doing sprints with new updates,
yeah.
yeah, that's definitely a thing. So,
Well, and gym too. Gym is an absolute
yeah.
must, and I'm feeling it right now. I've been on the road for, man, I don't know, a few months now. I've been in Nashville maybe like 7 days total, and it's it wears on me, especially if I'm out with bands or we have some drinks, you know what I mean? Like it
Oh yeah.
can really wear me out. And so my supplement routine, my gym routine has been lacking right now because I've just been go, go, go. And it's a problem. Like I'm currently working on making some adjustments so that I don't screw that up. But I mean, those are things that just, I tell my family too, because my mom's just like, how do you, you're always go, go, go. And I'm just like, well, it's because if I don't do these few things, like I can't execute at that level. I need to be able to execute. So I don't drink very often because if I regularly drink like I used to when I was in a touring band, I just can't physically execute at the level that we need me to execute at. And I need to be
Yeah.
everywhere at all the time. That's how I live my life. I love it. I live a borderline gypsy life and I love that our company benefits as a result. I'm
Yeah.
actually
No,
coming to you right now from Wayne, Pennsylvania. We have a show here in town today. And so it's evening. But yeah, so I mean that and the travel stuff is just as much a soul filler for me as the journey, like Dan was saying, the experience of being everywhere at once is as fulfilling to me as it is tiring. And so that is a form of meditation for me in and of itself. And so I hope that makes sense.
No, it absolutely does, and these are all really important things to discuss because I think that outside looking in, a lot of people think that it's just grind, 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 go, 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 but it's not. I mean, I do believe in forward momentum or motion all the time, but you have to be able to pull in things that help to fill your cup, to rejuvenate things. The example that one of my life coaches used a couple years ago was Formula One race car. If your One race car is going to constantly go, go, go and win and be at the top of its class, it needs the best team, the best training, the best fuel, the best engineering. You have to constantly put in to get the results. And I think that it's an important thing for us to be discussing when, the grind, the payoff, the hustle, it's great, but what goes into it? I love to discover that. And Daniel, I'm a family guy myself. I've got kids, as I mentioned. The newborn phase is awesome. It
so
took
cool, man.
me It's the best. It took me 2 failed marriages to really start to look at myself and evaluate who I was, and then do what you did, Josh, which was go inward and really adopt self-love and realize, like, "Oh, shit, if I'm burnt out, then everyone else is gonna get a shit version of myself. I need to make sure I'm at top form so that I can give more and more." And Daniel, you reminded me of a book that I read, came out in, I think, 2000. It's, The Millionaire Mind by Jay Stanley, or
Okay.
Thomas J. Stanley. I looked it up. I don't know if you guys have read that, but it's life-changing, and this guy did this huge, survey of, like, millionaire families in the US, all different, like, races, religions, statuses, locations. It wasn't, like, sequestered to a certain area, and one of the key things that came back from all of the people that created and retained wealth was only one parent worked, and it wasn't like a man or a woman or a man and man. It didn't have to do
Hmm.
with that. It was just that the family is so important, and it's such a big job that for me to go out and crush and slay and succeed, I needed that equal support at home, and it sounds like you have that in your life, and
Yeah.
that, you might also have had that, Josh, and you appreciate it and you learned lessons from it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have children. You know, my ex and I had talked about it. We didn't actually end up doing it, which, in hindsight now is probably for the best because we weren't able to work through things. But um, I totally relate to that in different ways. I know all about that book. I've read a lot of similar ones. I've not read that one yet, but it's on my short list. But
Well, you're an
you know,
uncle to Leonardo, though. So
yeah, yeah, I'm an uncle. I'm a cool uncle to several
yeah.
awesome children. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think about Dan and I talk about this all the time because Dan was there during my whole divorce process, which was very difficult for me. And I talked to him also about how much I learned. Like, I'm not the same man or human being that I was. And, her and I don't talk anymore. But if we were to sit down over coffee, I think she would be very surprised at the different person I am today. And I'm sure she's probably changed as a result as well. And so I consider that a huge blessing in terms of the impact that a family setting had. My unit being her and I, for example.
Well, and Josh has had such, I feel like, and if you don't mind me speaking to this, Josh, I feel like you've had such a glass half full mentality since then. And the way you've just expanded has been crazy, man. Just like, I've been learning so much shit from you for the last like couple months through, you're just like, seriously,
Thanks, man.
life lessons. I'm like, oh, but you've had such a positive mindset where it's very glass half full, not half empty. Like life is gonna be all right. Like we're gonna figure this shit out. Versus like
Well,
the world's crashing
y-
down. So
yeah. Well,
I'm
it's
gonna.
because I have amazing friends and mentors who helped me because I could not have gotten through that journey alone. Especially my cat passed during that period of time too, and he was my son. And that was like,
Yeah.
wow, that was hard having it all happen together, But I really believe that God put those challenges in front of me for me to come out with who I am today, and I'm very grateful for that as well. And I just find practicing gratitude is a heck of a lot easier than, or not easier, but a heck of a lot more fulfilling than just being angry.
Yeah.
Oh,
At least in my opinion.
totally
Yeah.
agree. Yeah, I mean, it's funny, like, I've referenced this before, but, like, diamonds are created under pressure, right? Immense pressure, and, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you, so I'm with you there, Josh, that, the bad things are just unrealized good things in my book, and similar to how Daniel commented earlier, like, at 2 in the morning when something goes wrong, that's exciting. It doesn't have to be scary or bad and everything is down and the world's it's like, "Cool, let's fix this. Let's triage this as best we can."
Mhm.
There was a Navy SEAL who I don't think I follow. I think it was just something that got fed to me in an algorithm, and he said that from a business perspective, what he learned from being a SEAL and then took into the world of business was there's no such thing as an emergency, because emergency immediately alters the mind state to, like, panic mode and fight or flight. He said everything is just a task with different levels of priority based on, like, urgency, and they
Yeah.
addressed everything the same way, and it's such a simple concept that means so much, and so if I walk through my front door and all of a sudden there's a flood pouring down from my ceiling, is it gonna help the situation if I'm panicking or freaking out? Or if I
No, not at
come and
all.
I'm just like, "There's a flood. What do I have to do? Shut off the water, get a bucket, start thinking." I know you probably do the same thing when it comes to the problems, with the software or running an application or running a
Mhm.
business.
Everything. It's a huge,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge fundamental of philosophy, right? It's not anything happening to us. It's our response to the things around us that create anything, right?
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
also need it. I need the chaos a little bit. I feel like I thrive in it. Like I feel like if there's not a city we're going to run and take over, like kind of thing, with the idea of like war, like if there's not like a something we're marching towards, like I feel like we're just sitting there being very like reactive to things, and I don't like that.
the amount
Dan
of time
manifests the hustle.
the amount of times the Jurassic Park gets referenced because of Ian Malcolm and, like, life will find a way, and then his
Yeah.
love for chaos and chaos theory. I agree. You gotta find peace in the chaos, right? You gotta,
Oh
like,
yeah.
it comes back to balance. We said it earlier, like, I mentioned the book to talk about the family analogy and how, Daniel, you got, like, that support at home, but it's also equally important in the entrepreneur grind, right? Like, I
Yeah.
am leading this ship and running this podcast and have a home and have a partner here that's amazing and all this stuff, but, like, I can't execute at the level that I do without my business partner, Lance, and our really important team around us. It's like a small, tight team. Aaron and Melissa, like, shout out to you ladies. You guys just crush things. You have to be able to rely on other people to get things done in order for you to go and slay as well. You guys
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
that symbiotic relationship, right?
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, me and Josh literally talk all day. I feel like we're working and talking at the same time, literally all day. It's literally like a 24-hour phone call. I feel like every day. But I will say this, like we said with building a team, Josh, he is one of the best, like hiring people, knows how to hire people really well, how to find very loyal people. I've never seen anyone like it. Josh is so talented at finding people who fit in to a team's like culture and then finding a place for them, that works for them too and that like they enjoy and finding like where they feel like confident and can thrive. And Josh is amazing at it. I'm not the best when it comes to that. This man is, but when it comes to team building, I'm like, Josh, where'd you find this person? He's like, oh, they're going to be doing that. I'm like, what? What's going on? I'm like, this is crazy. So Josh is
I
great at
appreciate
that.
that. I just think how important it is. We're all good at different things, right? And there's things we're not good at, and that's one thing I'm really grateful in the partnership that Dan and I have is we we execute in different places really well together, and we scale. because I don't know if you're familiar, but partnership models in business are actually the highest failing model by far, and it's because people struggle to navigate that relationship. And so I feel very grateful that we are both good at these different things and they come together very symbiotically, because I've had several partnerships that have not worked out as a result. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of people have, probably most entrepreneurs, But thanks for saying that. And I think that the foundation of that really comes to, what do I want to experience within the culture of what I'm spending my time on, and I want to figure out as much as I can about an individual and find what they're good at and put them in a place where they're going to excel. Because if I set them up for failure, they're going to burn out and they're going to fail. And not everyone's good at a certain position or good at certain things,
Yeah.
and so that's a huge priority just in terms of engaging with humans, is just trying to put people good at what they're good at in the role that requires what they're good at. 'Cause they're going to be a
Yes.
heck of a lot more inspired and they're going to perform better too. You know, um,
Yeah.
but got to
I
get
I
to know
mean,
people that way. You got to get to know them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
humanity, we talked about, personality, like, personal relationships, like, humanity is so important, and, a lot of what you touched on, guys, is, I think, the answer, right? It's like being aware of yourself enough to see what your flaws are, what your faults are, learning to love yourself, including the flaws and faults. These all lead you to be a better person, and then ultimately set you up to be a better leader. And as such, you're able to then identify other amazing people who, you know what, that guy is so good at that, and I'm terrible at that. I bet you if we combine forces, we'll have a better overall package or framework to deploy this product or, idea, whatever it is. And it sounds like you're both in a good spot of, self-awareness and appreciating what you do poorly and identifying, the counterpart in someone else. And that's what will have success. It's also that model that helped you guys to just say, like, screw big tech, screw all these things. Let's just focus on the person. And that's why the company's doing well, or at least that's
Mhm.
why there's a lot of interest right now.
Yeah, we've been profitable since day one. Like the funding round wasn't like, oh, now and we've been like, but in order to do what we wanted to do and to really go all in on this, right? Where
At the speed that we wanted to do it too.
yeah,
I like
it
that.
made
Yeah.
sense to do a funding round.
So why don't you guys tell me a little bit about that? I mean, I've got a really amazing picture of who you are and,
Mhm.
where you come from and how you work together and the fundamentals and the philosophy behind Seatfun. Tell me a little bit about the nerdy stuff, like funding. There's probably a lot of people who are like, I don't even know how to get funding or what is involved in that and how much to ask for and where do I even ask? How did that work out for you guys?
That's a Josh thing. Josh is a wizard.
I mean, I, man, it's obviously not just easy, right? I mean, it's going to be, I think it really, I know we keep getting into philosophy here, but I really think it boils down to, are we providing value to people, and is that valuable? you know um Nashville is also very strategically beneficial. Our funding partners are not from there, ironically, but there's a large um private investor community there, like venture capital community and things like that. And if you really hustle and put together a package and it makes sense and it's profitable, you can get meetings like that. It just takes hustle. You got to turn over the
Yeah,
stones, find these people. They make themselves reachable. I think most people's problem is they don't even try. They overthink it before they even put any action in. If there's no action, it
Ye-
doesn't happen. Now, obviously, it's really difficult. We had talked to many people and had even received a couple offers before we actually settled on the partner we have now, who's amazing. And I think it really just boils down to, what are you giving to the community? What is the value providing? Are you just trying to turn a profit? Or are you actually trying to, like, what's the mission of what you're trying to do here, and why is it different? And why do they want to put their money into you and buy into the company, basically?
well,
And so
I
there was a
always I
whole
also
bunch of
see it.
steps too. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, I see a world too right now where everything is like pre-revenue. Let's fund when we're pre-revenue. We have an idea. We're pre-revenue. We're
I was
pre-revenue,
going to
right?
mention
And it's
that.
like,
Yeah.
and I think, I don't know, like maybe excuse my language, maybe I'm fucking wrong here, but I do think there's a world where like a business's purpose is to make money, not, I don't, we're trying to be like a very profitable company, right? Like we're not trying to build an idea, raise a bunch of capital and then try to get acquired. Like that's not the goal here, right? And I think that's another thing where like a lot of companies are like, this could be worth this much. A lot of people have ideas and they assume they just need funding to do anything. We bootstrapped this from the ground up in the trenches. Let's go to war every day. And I think then it became, okay, now it makes sense to do a funding round. But I
We
think,
had so many meetings about it, and it
yeah,
was a strategic thing. It wasn't, and I think a lot of people are kind of desperate for it, and it totally makes sense. I've been there. I've been there. You know, I mean, it's a really surreal feeling being post that experience now. It's changed everything. I mean, our even
yeah.
our whole network has changed. Us trying to move big conversations has changed. Like it's crazy. We had a big dinner with our partners the other day, and what we accomplished just at that dinner was like, oh wow, we really teared up from this. You know,
But a
but
lot of people don't even know if there's a demand and if
right.
the market even wants this. So they have an idea and then they go straight to funding before they throw a couple grand behind something, just test it. See if you can go get 30 users or 30 clients, whatever it is. But I think there's this weird culture around funding where it's like, oh, in order to even go to market, I need funding. And I think there's a lot, especially with AI, there's going to be a lot of people, and me and Josh talk about this all day long. There's going to be a lot of people with ideas that, can build things and, come up with ideas and sit there with Claude all day and talk about it. But the issue, and I feel like what's happening is go to market strategy is where people fail the most. They don't know how to get their first 10 users.
Yeah.
And we proved that this is like the market wanted something like this before we even went to go after funding. It wasn't like a theoretical thing. It was like,
Yeah.
here's the data, here's our profit. If we scale, we do this, we get this many. Or it's like, there was a model there already built based off of going to market before we went through a funding round. So,
Yeah, it was very strategic. We were weighing out like, we know we can meet these KPIs if we continue to bootstrap. However, we know that we can scale ourselves and go way faster if we take a funding route. But we had a specific way to do it in mind that required a specific individual. I'm not going to get into I'm not going to get into the specifics because
yeah.
of privacy and the
Yeah.
whole like NDA stuff. But our the way we structured it was a unique ask. It
Yeah. Very
required
creative.
one individual group or entity to be involved in several different ways with the funding, and in doing so, it also allowed us to have 100% control. So we don't have that type of limitations that a lot of other companies have. You
Yeah.
know,
That's amazing. So funding is out there. It's something that you guys believe that is not necessary in order to going like try your hand at
No.
something, proof of concept maybe, and then explore funding afterwards. From a personal and philosophical level, with this concept of rising tides philosophy, how do you envision balancing revenue and profit with also, keeping things person to person, keeping things honest and fair?
I mean, we only win when organizers win. So that's like been the whole thing. And the way we've structured our models for partners is very much that. And that's our whole thing. Like we don't, we what is it, Josh? You said we either dive with you or thrive with you. And that's
yeah,
so true with all of our partners. Like it's
Nice.
all, but there's no like, monthly software licensing fees. There's nothing weird like that. It's literally just like, as you sell tickets, that's the only way we could, the more tickets you sell, the better everyone does, and just building it like that has been like the go-to since the beginning.
So build the benefits, build the goodwill right into the business model.
Oh, we work. Oh yeah, we work with our organizers and our venues one
that's
on
the
one with
value, right?
with marketing. I'm in ad accounts helping them scale out marketing funnels and ad funnels, like, and doing these things where again I feel like the music industry again, especially you know this from working with artists and businesses that are doing social media and advertising and meta and all that. They're pretty behind. It's just, let's throw spaghetti at the wall. Here's a $500 ad budget. It's this long, and let's see what sticks. And then, I don't know, we sit there and we really figure out with our partners too, like how much do you need to pay to buy a ticket? Because if
Mhm.
I know it costs $2.35 to buy a ticket, that's $40, and we know like, what your capacity is, we can scale that. And now it just prints tickets because we
Yeah.
know what the cost per ticket is on Meta, things like that.
It's surprising how many people don't market properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, um,
Amazing.
yeah.
So the elephant in the room is is Live Nation, the lawsuit, the stuff that's going on with the DOJ. I don't wanna get into the politics of it, but, in your hearts, in your guts, how do you feel uh that we as an industry or as innovators help heal these issues, that we find a better way for all of the players that don't wanna be forced to play that game, that wanna be in the game, but by their own doings and their own accord rather than, "You have to do this." What do you guys think?
You ever seen the Spider-Man meme where it's like, "Oh, no, you or no, you." Yeah, that's what I feel like it is. Like all eyes are on Ticketmaster, but some of these legacy platforms are doing the same shit. It's not just Ticketmaster. It's a culture that's built at the highest level of ticketing. It's not just Ticketmaster. And I think let's pull the scope back a little bit and look at what everyone's doing at that high of a level, like where they're buying up venues and running the touring and all that. It's not just Ticketmaster that's doing things like this, but Ticketmaster being the biggest elephant in the room, right? That's like they're gonna get the most flack for this, but it's an industry wide problem outside of just Ticketmaster too, you know?
It is, and they're playing the same game against each other. Who can purchase exclusivity as long as they can to increase their bottom line and maximize shareholder value. It's got really nothing to do with venue support. It's basically just close the deal, throw as much money as you can, and then when that contract's over, bid again and throw as much money as you can, keep that going. We think the solution is very much from software to service. It's very
Yeah.
much the individual. It's the needs of every one of our clients are completely different. There's similarities, if it's a promoter versus a venue and things like that. And there's definitely themes that we can put into forms of data and help better serve them. But at the end of the day, it's that direct connection that allows us to, we think, heal towards the new generation, the next generation of ticketing, which is kind of how that all naturally happened in terms of branding.
Yeah. Our friend, you ever heard of the company Tone Den?
No.
So they sold to Eventbrite. My friend Ali was the CMO and he was a co-founder of it. And, as we went through this funding round and everything, Ali's been a great resource for me, just kind of telling me like, oh, do this, this is the right way, this is normal. We talked about the industry and he was like, dude, just promise me whatever you do. Cause he had to work at Eventbrite for a few years after. He was like, just don't become another transactional ticketing company where the only thing that's going to separate you is how many zeros you can put on a signing bonus.
Yeah.
Build relationships with these guys. You guys are already winning with the venues you have. Just keep on doing that. You don't need to sit there and every time a contract's up, it's about who can add another zero. And that's all that becomes important to the client at the time. And so where our bread and butter is working with venues and partners that care about the relationship more than they care about that. And a
Mm,
lot of times that's in the 750 to 2,500 cap range. Now granted, it's not just a shoe, like fits all sizes, right? It's very much, I mean, we're working with a stadium in Arkansas, and things like that. So it's like, it's scalable. It's also the person and the person type and the relationship they want to have. But beyond that, and just the general, oh, let's just add another zero and it's very transactional. We don't want to do that. And that was some of the best advice I got from him was like, whatever you do, just don't be like that. Cause it's just another ticketing company that's doing a signing bonus at the end of the contract. So,
And so many of these smaller size ones too need so much more support and they just don't get it. The
yeah.
majors are focusing on closing those larger venues, but we have partners who are less than 100 cap. It just depends. It scales from that to, stadium size. And it just, everyone's needs are different. And as long as we can continue to have this type of connection between them, like with group texts and all that, literally they can reach us whenever and we can grow together that way, then that's where the real difference and change is going to be made. And there's just so many, we're finding there's so many organizers out there who just are conditioned to believing this is the norm, and it's just them getting no support is just, that's just how it is. And that was why I
yeah.
was saying in like the sales process, our sales process is hardly sales. It's very much informing. It's very much like teaching the philosophy of opportunity costs. People don't even realize how much they're leaving on the table in terms of service and bottom line, just doing the normal thing with the normal company that everyone knows about and
Yeah.
playing the normal game. You know what I mean? And so
We
I
get
find that,
customizable
yeah,
from the ground up, right? And just to kind of go with little bells and whistles and kind of what we do that's a lot different. We do custom service fees. We figure out the service fees with the venue, because the nightclub in Las Vegas that's selling a girl a $90 vodka Red Bull is going to have different service fees than a small theater in Bristol, Tennessee. Right. It's kind of just, it's got to be very customizable, where all these legacy softwares are like, nope, the fee is 29%, and things like that. So I think that's been a big one for us. And also, for me, right, doing Interstellar at the Kentucky Speedway, cash flow was so hard. It was like, and the ticketing company at the time was holding the funds until the end of the event. With us, we do daily, weekly, or monthly payouts automatically with the ticket money, where a lot of these legacy platforms, they hold the funds for at least, like, I think a lot of them are average 14 days after the event is usually the norm in that range. But we do daily cash flow, where it's like, if Sarah buys a ticket on Monday, you get paid the ticket money on Tuesday. And it allows these venues, especially the smaller ones, to have access to their cash flow and not have to rob Peter to pay Paul and things like that.
That's awesome. You guys answered like kind of all my last questions. I wanted to reference another book that I read recently, The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. That guy, if you haven't read it, highly recommend reading it. It's basically this guy who was, a university dude that was kind of a hippie and just wanted to meditate in the woods. And his journey was to become a, you know, decamillionaire. I think he sold his company for a billion plus valuation. And
Jeez.
it was just a transformative book in every way possible, but his underlying principle was that he just kept doing, the thing that was being shown to him, and he hired and grew his company by having that human relationship, that one-to-one, by being real, by being himself. I think that's a very good example of that principle of conscious business, where you can have a very successful for-profit model that
Mhm.
doesn't screw anyone. How do you guys, this is my last question. How do you guys envisioning that scaling happen while retaining the one-to-one with the venues?
Yeah, I think it's more team eventually. It would be scaling human capital. It wouldn't be scaling AI. Like, that wouldn't be the solution for us. If me and Josh have talked to this, if we get to a certain point where it's like, okay, between meetings here, meetings there, the one-on-one relationships, we just need more team. That's all it is. And I think that's like, again, it's not like some crazy Dexter's laboratory problem where, we got to figure this. It's like, okay, we just add another team member that we trust working with venues and introduce them, and then they build the relationship with us. And it's like, I don't know.
That's the X
That's
factor, the trust.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's not
exactly.
necessarily easy, but we are utilizing AI to really help scale the things that are weedy, right? And the more that we can maximize our system and really efficiency, the more we can maximize our efficiency, the more high touch we can be. And again, we may not be the best for every single person. Like, we're not the marketplace, for example, and that's where we can really quality control and determine in our meetings and our sales meetings and these things, like the whole invite only system. It really helps us keep control on that scale and keep control
Yeah,
of our ability to deliver the services that we deliver. And as we grow, we will inevitably have growing pains. Everybody does, and we will figure out how to do that. But we do, the trust thing is important, and there are several people both in both of our networks that we do trust, that we have in mind when we one day reach that place. But there's still a long way to go because of how important efficiency is to us before we run into that type of diminished returns. And we are very data heavy people too. And
yeah,
so, as such, we're running models constantly to make sure we keep track of that kind of thing.
yeah. And when it
Yeah.
comes close to meeting on the graph, we'll have a solution ready to go for it. So
That's when Daniel says, "I'm busy that day. I got a newborn." And Josh, you're the people person going
Yeah.
higher.
yeah, I'm like
Yeah.
Josh, you can't. What's going on, man?
You can't be in Pennsylvania and
Yeah.
in, Little Rock. Yeah. But
Yeah,
I can sort
yeah,
of. So, I mean, I'm,
You,
I'm,
you,
I'm, I'm on a big tour right now, and I'm, in venue meetings on Zoom all day long while also sitting
yeah.
down with them at the same time. And I love it. It's the best. I get to meet the coolest people and build these relationships. And it's my favorite. It's like being on tour with the band. It's the same kind of thing.
yeah. I live for this too. I love meeting new people. I love getting information that not only betters my life and maybe changes some of my positions on things and it makes me a better person, better boss, but also, sharing this outward with people that are on similar journeys to us, because everyone has, a great idea until there's a better idea that maybe comes along from someone else. So thanks for sharing so much of your
Yeah.
story and your insight, guys. I'm really grateful for your time. And now we're at the fun/hard part where you have to wrap us up by giving me each, something important and tangible to take away, advice, opinion. You've already
I
done a
got
lot.
one already. I got
Go.
one already. So I think in business, we tend to have shiny object syndrome. And I think people start at the top of the circle and they get to about here. And then they're like, if they just kept on going another like few months, they'd probably break over into the next like barrier. But instead they're like, this isn't for me. They go back to the top, new idea, shiny object, same thing. And I think 80, probably not maybe like 60% of people do this and they keep on going back. And then they think it's a them problem. They think like, oh, this isn't for me. When in reality, if you just stick with that one thing and just keep pushing through the bad days, because you're going to have bad days. It's just part of the game. You can't think everything's going to be pretty. And I
It's
think it's
not.
just
Yeah.
it's brutal out here in the trenches, right?
Sure.
So again, I think it's getting past those bad days and then realizing there's good days ahead and keep on building that one thing, or you don't just keep on shiny object syndrome, something new, something new, something new. Because you're going to drive yourself insane doing that, so.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that that's going to come in handy with a newborn at home.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you're on
Josh,
mute. Josh, you're
you're
on mute.
muted. You're muted.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was unmuted. I said he's really good at time blocking strong because you got to deal with the kids too,
Yeah. Oh
which is
yeah. Well,
important. But
and then dancing fruit. That's another thing. Any new dads out there? Dancing fruit on YouTube is one of the best. I might even. I mean, I might actually pay for the YouTube Premium to get rid of ads, just so when that's playing, it just plays through.
Dancing fruit. I
Oh
love what
yeah.
you're
that's awesome.
saying. Closing loops is so key. And I think that it's
Mm,
really open. Like it's really easy to open new loops. It's really hard to close loops. And
yeah.
I agree, man. You got to see it through, close the loop, and then just,
Got to finish.
focus on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Execute, finish. People like, and I want to think, and if any listeners who are like considering funding or looking into that world, it's super duper important that they understand that it's not like, oh, I'm funded, things are just easy now. I've never felt more pressure. After we closed, I was just like, oh my god, now we got to execute, like we got to like, and it was lit a
Yeah.
fire, and so if it's not like you just get that and suddenly like you kick your feet up and oh, things are good now. Now it's like, oh wow, okay, we got to
Yeah.
go.
If you want, if I could say how me and Josh celebrated it, I think it was literally like, "Oh, dude, awesome. We did it on a phone call, and then the next day was just back to the grind.
Yeah,
Same
I think
thing.
we made a point to have a steak dinner together at some point, like a month
Yeah.
later,
Yeah.
2 months later.
Yeah.
And it's not that we're not taking time to celebrate. It's just like, oh, dude, here we are. We've leveled up. Now we got to go. You know what I mean? Which
Yeah.
is great. I mean, that's important. And then like there's two things that come to mind for me with your question. One is a billionaire mindset that I love, and it is just provide real value. If you can figure out how to provide actual value, then you can figure out how to get to market and not just create something and move to the next thing. It's gonna reach. It's gonna reach if you're actually providing human beings value. And then RuPaul has an amazing quote too. RuPaul says, "If you can't love yourself, how can you love somebody else?" And I think about that almost every single day. And so if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not loving yourself, how on earth are you supposed to add value? If you're not valuing yourself, how on earth are you supposed to add value to anybody else? And that is
100%.
hugely a business thing. I mean, I think Napoleon Hill crosses the barrier between business and philosophy and like spirituality in one of the most organic, amazing ways. In my opinion, his books say borderline the same thing that spirituality books do, just from the perspective of business, and it all reaches from self value, self love, and so on. And so, um, those are two super important things in my opinion.
There we go.